Can't hear anything.
Well, hi.
I don't think everybody's on board.
Okay, I think we're back.
Hello. Christine, I can see you. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, James.
Okay.
Oh,
I
great.
can also see you.
I'm back again.
Karibu, karibu. Some of us have our videos off because our devices powers will use so much more when you have video on.
Oh, okay.
So hey,
no problem.
There's an under 18 saying hello to us there.
Oh, I can see Anna Carol.
Challenges of virtual working nowadays.
Yes, working from home.
Children and pets.
In fact, I'm sure you saw that video where that has been circulating in term where they're indicating that the Zoom meetings, sometimes they get intruders, where somebody from nowhere now they join the meeting.
Sure,
I think that applies where the meetings have not had clear meeting IDs and identification. But the same, I think it's a learning curve when we continue with this kind of engagement online. Good. So we can proceed. I think we were. Was it a comment from? Was it Jen or Christine who was giving a comment in terms of our role as HR being very significant?
Christine.
Yes, I was actually talking, then we went on commercial break.
Yeah,
but what I was saying is that we have a role to play as HR to ensure that the managers get it right. The managers and the supervisors get it right from the word go. And I was mentioning that a program manager cannot have the knowledge that an HR has. So we have the responsibility to ensure that we bring them on board and we mentor them through. It is a journey, so you cannot give them tools, expect them to do appraisal, and they get it right from there. You have to work with them. So based on that, we have to make sure that the process goes on well, and it goes on accurately, and it goes on correctly. And we as the HR should make sure that we create that environment that is required so that the exercise continues well. I know most HRs fear certain responsibilities, especially in areas of industrial relations, disciplinary issues, and also now the appraisal exercise. So they tend to take a back seat, but that is now where we have to be in the forefront. We have to be in the front line to ensure that all these tasks and responsibilities are carried out within the legal threshold or the legal requirements. So for us to have this exercise carry on or be undertaken well, let us be in the front line so that even when we get this presentation that you're giving us and we take a back seat, then there's nothing we are going to expect to be achieved out of it, but let us be in the front line. Upgrade your tools, learn from the challenges or from the experiences. If you realize that the line managers still need a bit more like in-house trainings, why not present this case to the chief executive so that all this is done rightly and correctly?
Well said. Yeah, in fact, just to add on what you've said, what companies are doing currently, and also the HRs, what we've advised them to do is they need to engage the line managers on some sessions in the key areas. For example, in recruitment, then in training and development, then in performance management, and also issues to do with industrial relations. That's very key, so that your line managers are also up to speed. They understand if it's about recruitment, even how do I identify a right person? How do I come up with the indicators of whom I want to join the organization? Then when it comes to training and development needs, they should be at the forefront to understand that if I'm to recommend training and development needs, what should inform that? So that you don't just find an appraisal where they have said, I recommend somebody for training. Then you ask them, which specific training are you recommending this person for? At times now they go blank. but they have recommended for training. So as you say, HR should play a key role, especially, and the best way to do that currently is to just identify areas that you feel the line managers should be trained on. So as you do that, then you empower them and tell them that I don't expect you to send me a report that has no documentation. Because now they'll have been taken through that process. Because remember, these people have no knowledge of HR. As much as people assume that HR is just managing people, but when it comes to now proper documentation, they don't have, they have that deficiency. So it's our challenge now to be able to ensure that these people are trained. Whenever you get a new line manager, always ensure that they are trained in this process. At times, people may not listen to you because of we call it the familiarity syndrome. But you can always get another HR person to come and explain to them how they need to do that. And that way, then you find that your work will actually be minimal. Otherwise, you'll be doing everything. You'll be getting complaints from one corner to the other, just because your line managers are not doing their role. So they tend to push that kind of load now to you. And they'll say, oh, we want HR to advise. We want this to be advised by so and so. Good. So, so let's proceed with my screen. Then enable my screen. Well, yeah, so that's where we were. So the success or failure of an appraisal can be summarized in all those number of reasons. For us, if you want the success to be achieved, let's make the employee to be satisfied with the whole interview. Let them be satisfied with you as the appraiser because of the kind of articulation that you provided. And also, it will make the appraiser and appraisee to accept that whatever discussion they have had is for the benefit of them all. Then also we expect the manager to use what we call positive motivational techniques to keep the employee happy and satisfied with the process. Then the mutual setting, which we've already discussed, and also we should focus more on providing solutions to problems. That we look at the employee and say, for you to achieve your optimal performance, then you need to work on your limitation number one, or maybe the limitation has been you're not proactive in terms of learning. You tend to sit back. Then how do we handle that? So it's more focusing on how do we discuss the performance aspects. Then also we expect the employee to perceive that the performance appraisals results are tied to the organizational rewards. So people will be expecting something out of the appraisal. They want to see, are they going to get to grow in the organization? Are they going to have opportunities to expand their knowledge? Are they going to be promoted? Are they going to get a review in terms of salary, in terms of benefits? What comes with that kind of review? So then we close. So these things that or it limits your understanding of the weaknesses of this person. So you tend to look at them from that perspective that they are good. And normally this applies when this person performed very well last year. And therefore, because of that historical performance, then you tend to believe that they are always the best. And if somebody brings a report saying that they have not performed well, then you'll always try to put them, those limitations under cover. You don't want them to come out because you believe that this person is the best. Then we have these preferences, personal preferences, the prejudices, the biases, discrimination, first impression, where depending on how you interacted with this person from the time they joined, you feel they can do it or you feel they cannot do it. So that tends to affect how you appraise them. Central tendency, when now you want to have that, what we call the curve, the normal curve, and see how do we classify these people in terms of the best, the average, and the worst. Then we have leniency versus strictness. Sometimes people's performance may require that you are very strict or you are extremely lenient. So based on that also, it will create incredibility problems when it comes to the appraisal. Then we have recency effect, which is a very common phenomenon. And I believe you'll agree with me that every time, whenever we move towards the appraisal season, people tend to change their character. They change to, they want to appear reformed because of that. So they want to affect your judgment based on this recency. Where you can say that, no, recently I think Tom has really improved. He's not the Tom that used to be. But that's now you're playing into the recency. Then we have the actor-observer bias, which actually also is related to the recency, whereby because of the kind of personality I'm exhibiting now, and you're looking at it from that perspective, then you tend to be influenced by what I'm doing, without necessarily looking at the whole process as continuous. And that happens where you do the appraisals at the end of the year, for example. Meaning, this person knows very well that towards November, I must ensure that I impress my line manager. I'll ensure that whenever he or she calls for support, for any assistance, I'll always be there. I'll always be willing. So in that case, these people are managing you under the actor-observer bias, and also in terms of the reasons. They'll use that so that they score better in terms of the appraisal activity that you'll carry out. Then we have the stereotyping, where you believe that this person cannot perform. There's no way John can perform to this level. There's no way Joyce can be this. So in that case, then you stereotype and believe that they don't have the capacity, yet they'll have gone through that. So that's just the description of all that, all those errors, and how we need to understand them. So how do we overcome these errors? We need to define our appraisal systems correctly. Let us train our appraisers. Then also we need to redefine appraisal instruments, train the evaluators so that they're able to observe more accurately and judge it more fairly. Then also we should make appraisers feel that the company performance appraisal method that is being used and how the familiarity should enable them to make correct judgment. Then also explain to them what is their role in the process and also how they need to have the communication skills to enable them make the correct judgment. Then also it's important that we are able to understand the activities that have been performed and the results achieved, and we should clearly communicate the process well in advance. How are you going to do it? What is the expectation? So that our line managers and employees are reading from the same script. We should also be able to clearly articulate what is acceptable and what is unacceptable, so that people, from the time they're joining or they're starting this process, they understand that at the end of it, my evaluation will be based on this. Then the work performance should be consistently observed by the raters, so that you don't just start mentioning things that you don't have documents. Remember, we talked about documentation. So your line manager should not come to you and tell you that that I have a problem with this Jackie because she has not been giving me reports from June or from January, and now we are in May. She's not been giving me that. But the question would be, by the time you realize that Jackie is not giving you reports in February, what action did you take? So we need to look at that consistency in terms of monitoring how this is happening so that we continuously develop these people. Good, so that's a case study that talks about VEMA and all that. So I want us to look at this video. Let me share this video. Can we hear that?
Not yet.
I don't know whether it's on my end,
We
but
can't
I
hear.
seem to have a problem with sound.
Can't
With
hear.
the
Yeah, it's not clear.
Let me run it again.
Lee! The Davis Group just rejected the new brochure. Look at that. How in the world can you let it go out like that?
Are you able to hear that?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I keep trying to tell you, we're going to have these kinds of problems because there's no infrared dryer on this press. If you want the stuff that quickly, then don't start with that. If the press was the problem, then all of your jobs would be wrong now, wouldn't they? Right. But with no dryer, you need to give me more time before the sheets are handled. Then how come everyone else's work's okay? And look at this mess. There's trash everywhere. How in the world can you work like this? You know what? Just get this place straightened up. Let's not have any more mistakes like this. We can't afford it.
All right, I'm okay with cooperates with other team members to achieve results, so I'll mark you as meet standards for that one, Lee.
Thanks.
Which brings us to the tricky one. Completes all work on time and the quality required.
Why is that tricky?
I'm afraid I'm going to have to mark you as fails to meet standards on that one, Lee.
What for? My work's been okay.
Not really.
What do you mean?
What do I mean? Well, there's your work area for a start. It looks like a dumpster. It's a disaster area.
You never said anything.
I think I did. I'm always telling you to get your area cleaned up. And then there's all the mistakes you've been making.
What mistakes?
What mistakes? The Davis Group's brochure, for starters.
That's one. What else?
If that's not bad enough, you're always missing deadlines.
When did I miss a deadline?
Look, I'm not going to sit here and quote you chapter and verse on all the jobs you've messed up. The point is, we both know your work isn't up to par. So I can't sit here and say, yes, he meets the standards, can I? I mean, honestly, can I? Look, just get yourself organized, pay attention to what you're doing. I mean, Just try harder, and let's see if you can do better during the coming year, all right?
Hey, Carl. If you've got a minute, I need to discuss a concern I have with you.
Okay.
It's about Lee.
Oh, no. What's he done wrong now?
Oh, nothing. It's just he came to see me yesterday, and, well, he's not very happy.
Not happy? What's he not happy about?
The feedback you gave him at his performance appraisal. He just doesn't accept that he's failing to meet the standard we set.
Well, then he should have said so. I mean, he signed the appraisal form. It's too late to change his mind now.
Well, he's not happy. And I read your notes on the appraisal. You were pretty harsh with him, Carl.
Well, somebody's got to tell him that his work stinks. And he's been unreliable.
Well, did you discuss that with him? I mean, ways to improve his performance?
Yeah, I told him. Don't think it's going to make any difference, though.
Is he capable of delivering the performance that you want?
You know, I don't know. If he is, he really hasn't shown it. Okay, maybe he could be a good worker, but I don't like his attitude.
Don't you think we should at least try to turn his performance around?
Well, I thought I did. What do you want me to do?
Look, let's talk somewhere where it's more comfortable. Why don't you come on to my office? Carl, when you give someone feedback, what are you really trying to do?
Well, I'm trying to let him know what I think about him, I guess.
Why?
Well, so they'll start working better?
That's exactly right. The whole point of feedback is to improve someone's performance. There's no purpose in doing it otherwise.
No, I guess not.
So everything you say and everything you do when you're giving feedback needs to be done with that in mind. If what you say is not going to help someone improve their performance, then you shouldn't say it. Let me ask you this. What do you think the effect of your feedback is going to be on Lee?
Knowing Lee, he'll just dig in his heels and get worse. What should I have done?
I always use a structure called CEDAR to help me in feedback discussions. C, to clarify the performance I expect to see. E, to explain how I think the person is actually performing. D, to discuss the reasons for the difference between the two. A, to agree on steps to fix the problem. And R, to review the outcomes. CEDAR, CEDAR. Now, to start with, you need to clarify what you expect from the person. Remember when you and I were both so worried about Kanae not completing all her tasks?
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about that. She's doing great now, but for a while she had a real challenge getting to those customer follow-up calls.
That's right, until I gave her feedback. Kanae, what I'd like to do is discuss a concern I have about your performance.
Okay.
Let me tell you what's worrying me, and then I'd like to hear your take on it, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Now, what I was expecting you to do was to call all of our customers after we completed their jobs to make sure they were happy with our work. But what I'm actually seeing is that you're talking to about maybe 1 in 3. Is that how you see it? That's what I mean about clarify the performance I expect and explain how I think they're actually performing. I told her what I had expected to see and what I was actually seeing, and then asked her if she agreed with me.
Well, why'd you do that?
To make sure that we were both in agreement on the facts. See, if you don't first agree on the facts, you'll never make any progress. Now, once I'd told her what I was concerned about, then I needed to hear what she had to say about it. That's the D of CEDAR. Discuss the differences between what you want to see and what you are seeing. Maybe 1 in 3. Is that how you see it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not calling every customer, but that's because of all the other stuff I have to do each day. There's just not enough time.
So what's stopping you from making the calls?
All the admin work, I guess.
All right. Can you remind me, please, of the other things you have to do?
Sure. I handle all the prep work for the sales team. Their appointments and their travel arrangements.
Oh, that's certainly important. And takes what, about half your time?
About that, yes.
Okay. What else?
And then there's the sales quotes. Emailing the quotes out, filing the documents.
And that takes up what?
Maybe another couple of hours a day.
leaving a couple of hours each day for making the calls.
Well, no, then there's the website to do.
With the website? I didn't know you were...
Okay, so that is it. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the video. Now, I hope we can be able to understand what it's all about. So what do you get from the video?
This is Christine.
Yes, Christine.
I think the supervisor was rather harsh and very inconsiderate.
Yes.
And even though you talk to your employee and give feedback, if it is a serious feedback, it is important to consider the location.
Yes.
Because a feedback that he had of that nature, he should have called him to his office and they have a sit down and discuss.
Yes.
The other observation I get is that maybe the employee was not informed of the expectations. So he's doing what he thinks is right, and the way he's doing it, he thinks that's the right way. So was there criteria set? Did they have an agreement on the expectations? And was the supervisor also mentoring him so that he lives up to the supervisor standards?
Yes.
So as we go through to the end of the clip, then we see that the right strategy was to be followed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's now the role of the HR. So in that case, you as a HR, then you need to ensure that your supervisors understand how to go about the process. Because now you can see the challenge came because this gentleman was very, what do you call it? So abstract in terms of handling the gentleman, the appraisee. And that's what brought all these problems.